How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to the Fruit of Grisaia. So, yeah, we had two parts song. We had the introduction of our Yuuji main character guy. I believe that's his name. I'll get better at it as we go, obviously. But we got the first episode was kind of getting us into the school and beating the maid girl. Second part was essentially us going to our first day of class, being able to meet all the girls that are in our class. You know, all like six of them, six. And found our teacher is just the principal. So it's like we had this massive school and like one, not even a class, with one teacher. You know. So yeah, like it's interesting. Oh, I sneezed. I will give a shout out. If I look scraggly today, it's because today was one of those really hot and really humid days. Like the storm was rolling in. It's actually kind of storming right now. But as it rolled in, it just brought this intense humidity, which meant everything was just sticky and humid and just gross. And just, I feel gross, and I probably look gross, so just, I will deal with it. But if I look a little frazzled or my hair's all messed up, that's really what it is. It's been a day. Not bad, but it's been a day. Anyway, so yeah, we're just gonna jump right in and we're gonna see how this is all gonna play out, because now that we met the characters, especially the last girl with the long hair who seemed very particularly hostile. Yeah, she's gonna be great. It sucks. It's gonna be interesting because like my first impressions of the girls have been pretty all over the place. I think character design, long hair girls was my favorite. I think that she just was designed really well. But so far, not the greatest personality to come off. Like I understand hostility, but like it could be a bit much. Is it Miriha? The blonde girl. She is okay character design, but she genuinely was making me just crack up. Like she was genuinely entertaining. So we'll see if that holds true as we get to know the characters. But so far, other than that, I'm pretty neutral on everybody else. So we'll have to see. Anyway, let's jump into it. The interval between classes, or recess, is fundamentally a time for lazing around. Given a 10-minute break, most people wouldn't be able to put it to any real good use. I myself imagined a school life along those relaxed lines, and I was looking forward to spending some aimless time right around now. But... uh-oh. What? Again? Are you serious? Why does she have a knife? And she's... Yumiko. You're gorgeous? But I am not gonna have patience if you're going to be trying to hit me with a knife. That slightly pitiful hope was shattered all too quickly. Of course, I'm not going to break a sweat from any attack from Yumiko's, but being slashed at with a blade isn't the kind of pleasant breather I had in mind. I don't know. What's the question? Why are you attacking? Guess she had thought it particularly well-timed attack, judging from the shocked gaze she's directing at me as she catches her breath. Of course, given that conspicuous clicking sound of her painfully audible footsteps, she might as well have been screaming, "Here I come!" But time moves at half speed in my immediate vicinity. Giving a straight answer would be a pain, so I pull something out of my butt. You actually are believing that? Yep, I'm just screwing with you. Why are you now coming across cute? You're holding a knife! Yep, don't stick your D in crazy. I'm as much as you've got like style, but so far you're going real down to the bottom. Maybe it's just me, but I think trying to stab your classmate is somewhat worse. That's an interesting and not true statement. Maybe in Japan it is, but attempted assault is a crime. If you're attempting to cause harm, and even if you don't, but it was clear you wanted to, that's a crime. This woman's copy of Criminal Code seems to be missing the page on attempted murder. Yep, there you go. But judging from the way she momentarily bought my nonsense, she unexpectedly airheaded. Maybe a bit naive would be a nicer way to put it. And yet. Sure, especially that face. There's only 6 of us here. It would be harder to forget. Still glaring my direction, Yumiko retracts the blade of her box cutter. And snorting in displeasure, leaves with a flutter of her skirt. Weird.
ユージくんもやってきて早々災難ね。
To be fair, all I did was aggressively introduce myself. It might have been much, but normal people don't pull knives. Granted, I'm not one to say that. We've proven Yuuji is far from normal. When I return to the classroom, Amane strikes up a conversation. I guess the story of the knife assault in question has already spread around the classroom, as my problem with Yumiko seems to be common knowledge. I'm guessing there's not much to talk about, so it's not like she's doing me any harm, but I can't say I'm enjoying this. My first encounter, I approached a stubbornly silent Yumiko in a physical sense. The outcome was her initial act of rejection. In part, that might have been a result of my own heightened wariness. She's heavy-handed foreshadowing put me on guard, and I have a tendency not to trust someone I'm meeting for the first time. So granted, he's an odd duck, but again, I've got my suspicions that he's got some pretty intense, abnormal, if his one wish was to have a normal high school life, that means he's been as far from normal as you can expect. So he's not gonna be the best, school swimmer at this rate, he's not gonna just slip right in and be a normal student. These people should be a bit better at being normal than him. Granted, they're also in this weird school class thingy, so I'm guessing they're not normal. Well, that's pretty apparent. But I would not constitute his aggressive friendliness and interaction to be worth this response. At that time, while I certainly felt animosity from her, it wasn't so intense as to discourage me from approaching. Now. However, from the second encounter on, Yumiko bared open hostility toward me. What's worse, apparently having come to the conclusion that she wasn't a match for me barehanded, she's been swinging around a box cutter of all things. According to Amane, it seems that Yumiko has something of a habit of brandishing retractable knives at people. Cool. I'm gonna just throw out the bone that she probably has a good reason and probably has faced either assault or harassment, something that makes it so she feels like she has to carry a knife with her at all times. I can kind of understand that. But it's a whole nother thing to wield it against somebody because they stopped you from slapping them when they were trying to introduce themselves. Do you see there's no real logical progression there that makes sense, even if she's justified in holding a knife? Of course, her goal is usually more intimidation than anything else, but speaking as the target this time, I can sense there's a part of her that's seriously trying to stab me. It's not the best feeling in the world. I would bet.
ライバルとして認められたってことじゃないのかな。あの子、うちらには威嚇の意味で歯を出したりはするけど、本当に切りつけたりはしないし。
Oh, swell, perfectly reasonable, obviously. I'm totally in the wrong here, clearly. I'd really prefer her to avoid that kind of recognition.
いきなり接近しようとするからよ。近寄ってわからなかった？あの子の周りに強烈に張られたバリア。
Didn't notice.
ユージ君って強そうに見えるけど、鈍感さは命取りになりそうね。
Yeah, well, I'm pretty perceptive when my life's in danger, but I don't really feel that level of threat from Yumiko.
ユージ君って普通の恋愛とかちゃんとできるの？
I mean, why was that on the table? My master did say I was exceptionally unskilled in that department.
師匠?
Michiru, that's her name, Michiru. At any rate, I want to do something about Yumiko's aggressive rejection of me. For that purpose, I'll need to talk to someone familiar with her circumstances.
はいはい、ホームルームを始めるわよ。
Alright, principal. Overtly trying to be cute and innocent, who I'm sure is not, because I don't trust anybody here. She's gonna have to tell us, I think. With the attendance book in her hand as usual, our carefree principal appears. I guess Chizuru is the only one I can ask. In conclusion, Yumiko seems to hate me with a passion.
榊さんがどうかはともかく、あなたが嫌われる理由はよくわかるわ。
I get why he's maybe unlikable, unapproachable, and maybe he's a tad arrogant, but I feel like A, he's probably earned the arrogance, so bully to you. Secondly, why? Yuuji seems alright. I don't see why people would hate him. Oh, let's hear it.
ほうじゃないわよ。 事情を知っていて暇そうなのは学園長ぐらいしかいないと思ったから聞きに来たって。わざわざ宣言して部屋に入ってくるとか何考えてるのよ。
Alright, I can kind of see that. I do have a bad feeling the Yuuji so far is kind of pushing this very alpha male Andrew Tate type of attitude. It's not good. Maybe that's why people hate you. I don't know though. I feel like at the same time, like Tate's more of a projection to put up barriers against his insecurities. Yuuji might actually be able to deliver, but at the same time, that doesn't justify it. I only said what I was thinking. Was I wrong?
違うわよ。一応
Aha. Got it. In defense of your feelings, no matter how much I think you're lazing around, I'll keep quietly buried in my heart from now on. Good enough? No, but fine.
そんなこと言われたら疑心暗鬼になるだけでしょ。
Hey, that's the point. What do you want from me? Spare me the vague complaints. What's your pleasure?
だから嫌われるのよ。
Do you have an idea?
なんでも。で、質問の答えだけど。
The principal, cup in hand, lowers herself across from the sofa I'm reclining on.
榊さんはこの学園の創設以来の学生なの。
Oh, so she was a solo act at first? Holy crap. Can you imagine trying to go to class by yourself in a school this big? Dang. This place just opened recently, right?
ほぼね。一応学園の設立は今から1年前ぐらいだから。
Okay.
彼女はその時からここにいるのよ。
So she's some trust fund kid that got dumped here? I see. What does that have to do with her rejecting me? Before responding to my question, she takes a sip of coffee from the cup in her hand.
自分のテリトリーに入ってくるのが怖いんでしょ。
Frightening?
そう。これまでは自分の認識できるものしかここには来なかったのに、いきなり異性の、それも得体の知れない人間が自分の近くに入り込んできた。
Okay. Alright, there's a little bit of, I guess, I don't think it's enough, but it's something. Principal Tachibana takes a pen in her empty hand and jabs it toward me, emphasizing her point.
なので排除しようとした。ってことじゃないかしら。
Okay, so we're basing this theory on tribalism then? She sees herself as like secure in her group, her posse, but an outsider, specifically of a different gender, which is more exclusionary because maybe she spent most of her growing up life with other girls only, makes us just a natural enemy. Guess it's like introducing a hermit crab to an aquarium full of goldfish. Normally, as far as I'm aware, hermit crabs wouldn't attack a goldfish. But the goldfish might not know that, and assume a big clawed creature in a shell might be dangerous. But I also don't think a goldfish would wield a knife. That's kind of where this analogy breaks down a bit. Hazing, is it? A bit of a bullying comes with being a fresh recruit, but I didn't expect the same here. See, he talks like a veteran.
いじめにしては、いじめられる側が強力すぎるけどね。
That's fair. Apparently, unconvinced by the idea of Sakaki stealing my lunch money, Principal Tachibana hides a snort of laughter behind her hand. Although it's certainly amusing considering the balance of our physical strength, I don't see how I can manage a decent student life at this rate. I'm honored to have provided a moment of amusement for our perpetually overworked principal, but I came here hoping to have a path toward overcoming this challenge illuminated by your educational guidance. Whoa, silver tongue!
あなた、実は私をいじめる目的でここに来たんでしょ。
I imagine his next answer would be like, well, are you doing anything worth bullying? I haven't actually said anything. Cranky from beginning to end, ultimately the principal didn't provide me with any useful advice. This is what school is like, so figure it out yourself. A normal school life means a few problems like this. I do have to admit she managed to dodge the issue reasonably well with that last line. In any case, since she didn't have any clear answers for me, I'm left with no choice but to do as she says and try to work this over time. Right. That's gonna be fun. The best thing to do would be somehow to get her to a negotiation table, you know, have a mutual setup. Well, I mean, the basis of communication and cooperation is a common ground. So if we have a common ground, that'd be great. But we have a common ground of being in the school, but that might not be enough because unlike she sounds like she was placed here. She might not want to be here. She just might not have anywhere better to be. Then the other idea too is you also, for an exchange of goods and services, you need to have something the other party wants. So that could be our next actual step. If we really need to set up a more aggressive stance for negotiation, you really need to get yourself into a position where you have something they want. Either like an you could take a more like aggressive stance where you literally take something of theirs and then require them to at least like engage in a conversation with you before you give it back, i.e. take away the box cutter, force her to sit down with you for lunch before you give it back to her. The very aggressive way probably wouldn't work very well, but at least could get her at the table and might be able to break the ice enough to prevent future assaults. Second option would be to get her a gift of something that's not just a empty gift, something genuinely that she needs or wants or expresses interest in. And even then, this isn't something you get just it's not like a bribe. Like, you should be intending to give the gift regardless of how she reacts, but with the hope that it will build a bridge for communication to follow through. That one's really tricky because how do you get a meaningful gift for someone you barely know and isn't interested in getting to know you? You might be able to do it through their friends, but again, that can also set up a basic rift where they start questioning how you know so much about them. It can make them feel more vulnerable. Again, that's starting to approach stalking, also not good. We're not left with any good options here. The next best thing might just simply be wait for an opportunity, just kind of play the long game. It's not really my style to go with the flow like this, but if that's the proposal from my educational guide, there's no helping it. Oh, here we go. Oh my gosh.
スパーリングみたいになってきたわね。
Will you stop it?
新兵を手のひらの上であしらう教官なのよさ。最初はハラハラしましたけど、こうなってくると緊張感のかけらもないですよね。
Like I thought she was just like, I was kind of worried, but at this point it's just boring. You know, maybe the bridge we could offer her would be training. If we know how to handle a knife, what if we helped her not be so crap? I mean, granted, it would be giving her a tool to possibly better actually hurt us, but at the same time, it might help build that bridge because she might be like, why would help be? Like, why? And actually, the sheer cheek of helping someone who's clearly trying to hurt you could actually be an icebreaker. Oh no. The result of going with the flow, Yumiko's attacks have been continuing without any particular change to date.
ユージもしっかり相手しちゃうから。
Look, could you quit it already?
うるさい。
Oh. Her movement's thrown off by my sudden sidestep, Yumiko staggers forward unsteadily. She tries desperately to regain her balance, resulting in a ridiculous pose in strong contrast with her usual haughty demeanor. Ah, well. Yeah, I know, right? Michiru lets out an involuntary giggle at the spectacle. Oh, don't! Hey! She's instantly pierced by Yumiko's furious glare. Ignoring Michiru as she cowers behind her desk. Yumiko storms out of the classroom in a towering rage.
行っちゃった。
What? Okay, here's the thing. They're like, Yuuji, you should have done something. I'd be like, what, let her cut me? Like, is that the only solution you think is theirs? Because that's not a solution.
このところずっとリプレイを見せられているようです。怖かった。何よあの目。相変わらず人を凍えさせるのに十分な威力を持ってるわよ。
I get it's like an artistic style, but I really am not sure about these snot-like dribbly tears. Like, I mean, it's good to have your own style, but that's just weird.
チルチルにはきっと血の報復があるのよさ。
Makina, you were so shy and timid, but you're actually, look at that smirk. Look at that, like, she's got some real personality.
ちょっとやめてよマキナ。お楽しみに。お楽しみにじゃねえ。
She's bloodthirsty. Never underestimate the quiet, small ones. They're the real scary ones. Seems like this one we're very familiar by now. With the exception of Michiru, everyone seemed perfectly calm. Even if this little routine doesn't bother them, as a directly concerned party, it's problematic. Hey, Amane? In response to my call, she points to herself with her index finger, slightly asking, me? Yes, yes. When I nod, she approaches in her usual pointlessly sexy way. Okay, that's the thing. It's like, I don't know if I should just read too much into that. Like, is he just exaggerating because he's associated her with powerful, like, dominating women in his past? He's like, he directly made that correlation. Or is she genuinely walking up in a very sultry manner?
どうしたの？榊さんとの対戦格闘に疲れたから、私の胸の中で安らぎたくなった？
It's not an exaggeration then. Would you want that sort of sex worker style treatment?
ユージ君がそれを望むのなら、そういう日があってもいいかな？
I don't know. I'm not sure she means it. In which case, kind of poor taste. If she means it, I mean, cool if you're interested in somebody, and I guess being forward is okay. But still, it feels like she's like, I don't know. It just feels overt, you know? It just feels weird. I'll be sure to keep that offer in mind, but that's not what I need today.
は？なんなの？
You've known her, Yumiko, for a long time, right?
そりゃ確かに多少は他の子よりかは付き合いも長いけど。
So Amane was probably the second person here. Any ideas about the reason she's rejecting me so intensely?
ごめん、わからない。ああいう子でしょ？正直、事務的なこと以外に話す機会もあまりないのよね。
Okay, so she's reclusive for everybody. I see.
ユージ君も来たことだし、これから少しずつ話とかできればとは思うけど、今は私もほぼデフォルトに近い状態なのよね。
Right. Ugh, this is gonna be much harder than I thought. I thought at least we'd have an in with one of the girls. Certainly. Yumiko hardly seems like the type to open up and reveal herself to someone just because they've known each other a while. I guess I'll have to find a solution myself after all. Thanks anyway. Let me know if anything comes to mind. With those words, I move to exit the classroom. If Yumiko's rejection continues to take this form, I'll have no choice but to ask the principal's advice again. At the moment I open the door to prepare to leave,
仲間意識かな？
I stop at the sound of Amane's voice. Hmm?
ユージ君ってさ、よそから来た人じゃん？そういうとこ、あの子は異物感があって嫌なのかもね。
Okay, again, that's exactly what the principal said, but at the same time, it's like, right, but why does she feel that way and you don't? What have I done that makes me feel like an intruder that you didn't spark? You know, maybe she wasn't even fond of them, but like, she obviously didn't try to kill them. She's saying the same things as the principal, huh? Does it feel that way to you as well, Amane?
私はそんなことないわよ。ユージ君を全力で支援しちゃうから。
It's a little hard to take that seriously given the flow of this conversation.
ユージ君のこと、仲間だって思ったら、戦いも終わるかもね。
Alright, but how do I do that? Huh. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe she needs to see our goodwill towards the others. If we show earnestness in trying to support and befriend them, maybe that'll actually be what needed. If she views the other girls as like part of her group, even if she's not super close to them. There we go. I return to the dorm and wander the hallways without any particular objective. Compared to shutting myself up all alone in my room, it's easier to gather my thoughts. One of the groups, huh? I recall Amane's parting words. It's easy for her to say, but actually getting to the island of a human being to recognize me as a friend seems next to impossible. First of all, we're not even on speaking terms yet. Oh, this late already? The sun sinking below the window frame, casting shadows along the hall. About time for me to return to my room. Guess I'll try talking to her tomorrow. I scratch my head as I turn toward the bedroom. There's something going on in here, isn't there? The sound of my slippers echoes roughly in the hallway. Yumiko might have her own set of internal rules, since she hasn't tried to attack me even once while inside the dorm. Not that I was particularly off my guard as a result of that assumption, rather it was probably because it had happened in this particular time of day. Oh. Or so I would reflect to myself later. Evening, hallway in the dormitory lit by a setting sun. At the flash of the thrusting light, I reacted instinctively, and grabbing her arm firmly. Alright, so we managed to stop you. With her arm captured, Yumiko's face stiffens. The box cutter, blade still extended, rattles around at her feet, turning in circles around the handle. Trying for the element of surprise. Oh boy. Yumiko's expression changes from shock to fear. That's what tips me off that I'm not wearing my peaceful face. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh. Sorry, it was so sudden I couldn't hold back. I didn't want to frighten her. Thought I could play the normal student. I wanted to continue convince myself that I could. Look, Yumiko, still gripping her arm, I look into her eyes and speak. I'm not your enemy. Yumiko's expression betrays uncertainty for just a moment. But just as quickly, it settles back into her customary mask. But it doesn't look like you're convinced of that yet, so let me say one thing. Releasing her arm, I pick up the box cutter lying in front of her feet. Carefully retracting the blade, I hold it out to Yumiko. I won't cause you harm, and I won't pry into your business either. That's a promise. So stop this. It's pointless. Observe me and reach your own conclusions. If I'm lying, you can always try stabbing me again. Stumbling, Yumiko retreats a single step. Bye. Shooting around, I return to my room. Whew! Normally, Yumiko would seize such a chance to attack, but something's different now. Her elongated shadow is still, and the hallway is silent except for the small sound of her breathing. Interesting. I'm not keeping track of the days. After that day, Yumiko's attacks came to an abrupt halt. I shouldn't have clicked there. I didn't realize it would stop the panning. The scene of the sudden violence dispersed from our classrooms and hallways. Although Amane barraged me with questions about the abrupt change, it wasn't really something I should talk about, so I vaguely deflected her interest. If I can use this as an opportunity to slightly improve my relationship with Sakaki, it's very welcome from the perspective of my normal campus life. Yo. As usual, to call Yumiko's behavior when I come across each other curt would be an understatement. But at the very least, judging from the clearly different way she's looking at me, her observation period seems to be ongoing.
あなたに質問があるんだけど。
Oh, sure. Unless it's about my weaknesses, I'll answer.
それを聞こうと思っていたのに。
Ah, darn it. That's a shame. Come up with something else. She occasionally talks to me like this, but instead of friendly chats about lunch plans, we have investigative queries and careful negotiations. Nice. So it's socially disarming a bomb every time you meet somebody. Cool. God, it sounds like so much fun. Even so, I suppose it's considerable improvement over the outright bloodshed.
いつか絶対に弱点を握ってやる。
Uh-huh, sure. Is that your idea of a social interaction between classmates?
まだそうと認めたわけじゃない。
Right then. I open my hands in an exaggerated American-style shrug. Well, good luck to you, Yumiko. I think it's time to leave before she starts probing any further.
あのね、あなた。いい加減名前で気安く呼ぶのやめてくれない？
Oh. Yeah, I didn't realize we were doing that. Oops. Seems like she's hung up on that point. After those events, I had been intentionally addressing Yumiko by her first name. The family name would actually be more appropriate here, but I've got a reason for doing this. Says the woman who's never referred to me as anything but you.
だからといって、いきなり名前ってことはないでしょ。
So you're saying as a classmate we should both use our last names. Yumiko's expression clearly reads, "Oh crap."
なんであなたと同等の立場で呼び合わないといけないの？
Isn't that the starting point for building a cordial relationship?
だからといって。
Alright, in that case I'll take our friendship to the next level by making up a pleasant nickname for you. You can do the same for... Oh, no. Okay. It might be a little early for that, so I propose starting with last names. Yumiko hesitates briefly, but before long she opens her mouth stiffly in a tight voice.
よろしくね、風見くん。
Oh, the poison in the voice, but it was there. After speaking those words with a cramped attempt at a smile, she stalks off. Yeah, best regards, Sakaki. Thus, after a great hardship, I finally succeeded in establishing an absolute minimum level of communication with my 5th classmate. Seems this student life thing is pretty rough in its own way. Yeah, tell me about it, man. Fetch me. All right, day 1, month 6. Okay, so we were in May, now we're in June. Wait, we're at a school? Oh, that's right. They have Golden Week, but in Japan, they kind of have summers off, but not the same as in America. When I push open the heavy glass doors, I find the lobby in utter silence. Exchanging my outdoor used shoes for the slippers I use in my room, I reach for the board hanging above the shoe racket, flip to the magnetic tag reading Kazama Yuuji from out to in. I glance at the other name tags revealing that Sakaki, Sachi, and Amane are all in, but there's no one in the lobby. They're probably all shut in their rooms doing homework. Hold on. There wasn't any homework assigned today, which would mean my hypothesis just now can't be accurate. Then what? When students shut themselves up in their rooms, homework and masturbation are the only things that come to mind. Oh no. What? Hobbies? No. Alright, Yuuji. You're... What? Really? Although I gave the matter a little thought, I don't plan on going around and confirming my new conjecture. Thank goodness. It's just a guess. No matter what sort of vile filth they're getting off to, this is prerogative. It's their prerogative. In this case, pretending not to notice would be the kinder thing. Jeez. Having reached that conclusion, I reach out to the door of my room, but in doing so, I notice that the bit of tape I stuck to my door to seal has been ripped off. Uh-oh. Someone's in the room. Backing away from the door for a moment, I quietly press my ear against the wall, but can't hear any noises from inside. It doesn't seem like there's a typhoon is laying waste to my room in my absence, but either way, if it's someone stupid enough to miss the tape, no need to be too careful. I forcefully swing the door open to my room. Oh my gosh. Well, this is not YouTube friendly in the slightest. Don't move! This is my room! What are you doing in here? Who called me a stripper? It's not my birthday. You have the wrong room.
予想外の反応。前にいた学校じゃ誕生日に友達が寮の部屋にストリッパーを呼ぶようなサプライズがあったわけ？
Right. No one's in the room, right? Again, we have the reintroduction of my favorite classics. The coconuts are here. I hope you're enjoying them. So as long as things don't get too overtly unsafe for YouTube, I make sure to cover audios, but just know I'm seeing an unedited version. So just for the sake of understanding that I got the restoration patch again. This is the first instance of such. What's amazing to me is that she's not doing the classic slap across the face oh, you caught me doing something. It's no, she's just oh, I'm here. What? It's just Amane. What are you doing in my room?
なぜって言われてもな。この部屋で着替えるのはいつものことだし。
Okay, but this is now my room. You have your own room. Amane points to a large overnight bag laying on the floor, presumably containing her spare clothes.
この部屋だけ冷蔵庫が大きいのよ。いっぱい買い物した時とか、この部屋の冷蔵庫を使わせてもらってるの。
Okay, but this is my room now. Why are you naked?
そりゃ、着替えてるところにいきなり踏み込まれたからでしょ？学校から帰ってすぐに買い物に行きたい時はここで着替えるのよ。
You've got your own room, right?
私の部屋2階だし、面倒じゃない。
Cool. Well, then you're just gonna have to deal with me walking in here. When I was a grade schooler, I had friends who'd throw their bags at the door after school so they could get back outside faster. Guess her brain works on the same level.
着替え続けてもいい？
Fine, I suppose.
そんなところに突っ立ってないで入ったら？
I'll come in whether you invite me or not. It's my room. I'll walk into the room, hold a glass under the faucet in the sink, and fill it with tap water.
あのさ。
Oh boy. Oh boy. What? I swing down tepid water from the glass.
普通入るかな？
Actually, what? Your sentence is missing both the verb and objective.
いや、だからさ、女の子が着替えてるんだよ。普通遠慮しない？
It's my room. Look. Sure, you're cute. I guess we're young, so maybe that would explain it a bit better. But here's the thing. Especially even now, frankly, if I were in this situation, well, I wouldn't be, but if I were, I would be more inclined to be like Yuuji. Not because it's oh, it's such a cool thing to do. It's more of it's my room. Sure, you're cute, you're flaunting yourself if you want to, that's fine. Whatever. That's your prerogative, but it's my room. If you want me to be all shy and run out, like, sorry, you can leave, or you can go into the closet. I don't know, man. I'm not a normal man, and you're the one who barged into my room.
それはそうなんだけれども。
If you don't want to be seen, how about being frank about it and telling me to get out?
失礼ね。見られて困るような体してないわよ。
Fair. That's a fair point. I mean, if you want to flaunt it, flaunt it. Again, the coconuts are getting a workout today. Whew. Want me to stick a 20 in your panties?
だからストリッパーじゃないっての。
If you say so, you seem pretty used to this.
そりゃこっちのセリフよ。そうやってビール片手にテレビで野球観戦する親父みたいにじっと見られても落ち着かないじゃない。
You're the one talking. I wasn't looking at you till you talked to me again, and you could just address the situation by just putting clothes on. If you didn't want to be seen, you should have said so from the start. I'll be outside. Call me when you're done changing.
いいわよ。すぐ着替え終わるから。
What a troublesome woman. What do you want from me?
そこでおとなしくじっとしてなさい。
Nice. I mean, this is nice tits.
感想とかいらないから。
I'm worried I'm going to explain myself later. Returning to the empty glass of the sink, I turn my back on Amane for the moment. Breaking into my room as she pleases, throwing her teas around like she pleases, and then getting pissed at me as she pleases. I don't have any real obligation to be considerate of someone like that, but, well, this is kind of thoughtlessness is what keeps society moving smoothly.
ねえ、ユージくん。
What?
君、なんだか妙に女慣れしてるよね。お姉さんとかいるの？
Is that what this is about? Well, I did have one.
いたって、今はいないの？
She's dead.
そっか、ごめんね。無神経なこと聞いて。
It's been years. Not a problem.
じゃあさ、無神経ついでにもう一つ聞いてもいい？
What?
お姉さんの名前は？
Kazuki.
和樹？
I know, kind of a weird name for a girl. It's actually written with the characters for one and princess.
珍しい名前だね。
Why do you ask?
別に、ただの興味本位。
I see. Interesting. That's cool to know that he had a sister. Like, I wonder if there's a lot more. There's obviously more to that story. I wonder if we'll get to figure that out. And if it has something to do with his, like, past, like, training, or was it independent of that? My sister's a topic I'd prefer to avoid as much as possible. Okay, so it's probably involved in that kind of history. Not because it's too painful to remember her death or anything sentimental like that. I just don't want to get into the heavy mood for no good reason. Maybe Amane picked up on my reaction. I just whistled there. Since she doesn't ask anything else about the subject. Although she's a troublesome, selfish woman, I can honestly appreciate that part of her.
お待たせ。着替え終わったよ。
It took... Cool. Glad you did. I wasn't really waiting.
どう？似合う？
Now that I look at you, look, Amane's wearing a pointlessly skimpy outfit. Even if it's summer, this is a bit over the top. Too much exposure. Your breasts are barely staying in that thing.
はあ、いいのいいの。せっかくいいの持ってんだから、半分ぐらいちらつかせておかないと損じゃん。
What a progressive attitude. Cool. If you're cool with it, sure. The thing is, some people just don't see it as appealing as, like, wearing just normal clothes. But, you know, more power to you. Do you want to wear and you want to flaunt, you wear and you flaunt. That's perfectly fine. A waste of resources?
この格好で商店街に買い物に行くと、なぜかみんなサービスしてくれるのよね。
You know what? Fair. If you're getting some genuine, like, monetary feedback for it, by all means, go for it. It's called working the capitalist system. Ah. This woman's trying to disrupt the economy of the shopping district via her teas?
あーって何よ。
Nothing at all. If you're done, hurry up and go. The dirty old men of the shopping district are clinging to their 20s in anticipation.
そうだね。そんじゃあ行こうか。
She's flat out just not even ashamed of it. That's awesome. As she speaks, Amane grabs my arm like a border patrol agent seizing an illegal immigrant from Mexico. That's definitely a localized thing. Like, what was that translated from? Like, I mean, Japan has immigrant issues too, but is it actually an immigration like reference here, or is it just so culturally like locked in that they chose to localize it to oddly America? I mean, there's a lot of other people not in America who read English, but okay. What are you trying to pull? Get off.
ねえ、お買い物に付き合ってよ。
Isn't that gonna ruin the whole shakedown thing? Like, if they see you, they're just gonna get mad if they see you with a boy. Why do I have to come?
今日は10キロのお米を買うから運ぶの手伝って。
Why on earth do you need 10 kilos of rice? Even if you don't rope me into this, with that huge body, 10 kilos shouldn't be an issue. Or so I thought, but courteously didn't put into words. We are dealing with a woman here, technically speaking. Of course! In the first place, she's only large for a woman. I'm 5'6" centimeters taller. I guess Amane's gotten sick of me staring at her silently as she jerks me closer by the arm she's grasping.
おっぱい見せてあげたじゃん。買い物ぐらい付き合ってくれてもバチ当たんなくない？
It wasn't a negotiation. You were in my room. I don't remember asking to see her breasts. This woman's logic is completely incoherent. Ironically, for most normal guys, especially in high school, I'm sure this would have been a perfectly balanced arrangement, and they'd be like, absolutely. Of course, they also would have been, led by the nose by this point. She'd have a meeting out of her hand. Doesn't work for freaking Sigma Yuuji. Maybe it's just me, but this is roughly equivalent of the way Gestapo would arbitrarily execute Jews and then send their families the bill for disposing of the corpse. Dang, what a dark reference. Fetch me.
なに？なんか不満そう。見るだけじゃ足りないなら、もんどく？軽くつまむ程度に。
Now, interesting you're even throwing it out there as an option. I wonder if she'd actually let him. She probably would, based on her personality so far. But a lot of times I would expect that would just be a throwaway comment kind of thing. But again, it's almost like when a door-to-door salesman comes up and they're trying to promise you a one-time offer, 50% off, your only chance if you order it right in the next hour because I happen to be in this neighborhood kind of thing. It's like, I just feel like you're trying to bully me into doing something. Like, just ask nicely. I probably would have come. You think a flash of your teeth are going to make a man do your bidding, you've got another thing coming.
まあまあ、どうせ暇なんでしょ？うちの学校、今までは男子っていなかったから、力仕事は全部私に回ってきたのよ。
When you've got a physique like that, I think it's probably inevitable.
これからは電球が切れても、ユージ君がいれば安心だね。
Okay.
そんじゃ行こうか。
Okay. As she speaks, Amane entwines herself around my arm, pushing her famous breasts onto me. Hey.
わっちはこう見えても休暇を実家に持つ母親の娘ぞ。本来であれば裸を見たあんたには責任取って結婚してもらうところよ。
Interesting. The fact that I just spent a good second thinking about anti-helicopter mines is frankly completely ridiculous. But the world has been seeming like an extremely ridiculous place recently. No point getting too down on myself. Fine, you just need me to carry rice, right?
そうそう。最初からそうやって素直にって言ってりゃ可愛いのにね。
You could have also just asked like a human being. I've heard it better not to be loved by God or big women if you want a long life.
何それ？
Just a joke. Let's get it going already.
ちょっとやだ。待ってよ。
By the way, people pointed out, and I have been hearing it, the voice actor who played Sumika in Love plays Amane. It is interesting, though, because it is different. Like, she's not in Sumika voice. She's in Amane voice. It's just the same actor, which is great. One of the downsides to voice work in a lot of games and TV is that the voice worker can end up being typecast in a way where they have a successful role and people just love that role so much they just say like, oh, just do that character for this character, you know? I think it's good when voice actor gets to give a personality to the voice. And often that means if you have their voices play side by side, you tell that they're the same voice actor, but they're expressed differently. So it's cool to see. Let go of my arm. I don't need you clinging all over me. It's stifling.
本当は嬉しいくせに。 ジ君、なんかいい匂いする。香水とかつけてる？
I was supposed to be like, whatever. Like, I feel like she's trying too hard at this point. But then I actually remember I had a cologne that I got when I was in high school that I would wear. And I only used it initially because I was like, oh, this seems like a good brand. And I enjoy smelling like approachable and just like being like a pleasant person to be around, you know? You don't want to stink. And I was just like, oh, so especially for special occasions or dates, you know, I want to do something different. And it would just be a little spritz, like 1 or 2 sprays of this stuff, but it was strong. And like I would have people, friends, strangers, like I would go to like a social dance or something, and that's when the strangers usually would mention it. But I'd have friends who would mention it, who would just come up to me and she's like, "Oh, you smell really good." And like I remember one friend, she would literally like when she knew I was wearing it, she would find excuses to give me hugs and say that it was because she wanted to smell it. The problem is, like, even now, like, saying that, it sounds like flirting. And maybe it kind of was, but, like, I know that wasn't really the case because I know she had feelings for, like, a friend of mine much stronger than she would have had feelings for me. I just think we were close, you know? We'd been friends for years and spent a lot of time together. But, like, it was funny because, like I said, I was going to brush this off, but it's a real thing. Like, if he's actually wearing, like, a scent that's really good, like, it's something that people notice. Most of the time, they don't say anything, but like when people are a bit more outspoken, they will. So it's worth investing in, honestly. If you're on the market and you're looking to be dating, and also if you're a girl, like guys notice when you smell nice. Like it's like we just tend to not be expressive about it at all because that sounds creepy, right? Like, you smell good. Like that's just, right? But for some reason, the other way around, girls tell me that I smell good. I'm like on cloud 9. Don't press your nose against me and snuffle. You're not a dog. Honestly, how carrying someone's rice isn't really that big of a deal, but if I'd agreed from the start to save myself the effort of resistance, it's easy to see she'd take that as a license to push increasingly unreasonable requests on me. If you're smart, you start rejecting people's requests at 80% of your real tolerance level. That's not a bad idea, actually. Solid advice. All right, later this day. Women's shopping methods can be broken down to 2 patterns. Type A throws anything that catches their eye into her cart, whether or not she has any need for it. Type B deliberates endlessly over cost efficiency, even when she has a pressing need. She ends up buying nothing. Well, that's extremes, but yeah. My impression of the woman named Amane, properly influenced by her large build, was that she likely is the careless sort who'd follow the former pattern, but apparently I'm not much of a judge for these things.
次は八百屋さんに行こうか。
What, you're still buying? You need vegetables. Why didn't you get them at the supermarket just now?
スーパーより商店街の八百屋さんの方が安いんだもの。
Plus, if the greengrocer, not only going to be cheaper, but it's also probably locally sourced at like a small mom and pop. Like, of course, go support the small places. I understand in theory that specialty shops are better for general retailers, but it's one thing being dragged around, changing stores this rapidly, and a serious nuisance. Because Amane mentioned she wanted to buy oolong tea, I'd reached out for a 2-liter 158 yen bottle at the supermarket, only to have her slap my hand lightly away. It's a $2 2-liter bottle. In her words, don't buy that here, get tea packets at the drugstore. You can make 52 liters for 480 yen or something. 52 liters? Okay, she's got a point there. And so I ended up following her to the drugstore as well.
すみません。玉ねぎと人参くださいな。
お、あまねちゃんいらっしゃい。今日も可愛いね。
でしょ。ねえ、奥さんに内緒でおまけしてよ。
Oh no.
あまねちゃんにはかなわねえな。よし、そんじゃおじさん、いちごのパックをおまけしちゃおうかな。
And immediately, my impression of Amane is flipping a bit. Plus, I'm also hearing a lot more of the Sumika in her voice now. But that was not a great interaction as far as like increasing my interest in her as a character. But this is because like it's not just like she's not like she came across so shallow, but it's clear there's a lot more to that, which is really cool to see.
嬉しい。いいの？
あまねちゃんだけのサービスなんだからみんなに言っちゃダメだぜ。
ありがとう。いちご、マキナが大好きなのよね。
そういや今日はマキボウは一緒じゃねえんだな。どうしたい？
ああ、今日はお米も買ったから タフな荷物持ちを連れてきたの。
Yeah, here we go. See? Growling, the dirty old grocer's growling, the dirty old grocer sized me up with blatant scowl on his face.
なんであいつ気に入らねえ目つきしてやがるな。
そう嫌わないでやってよ。私の弟なんだから。
Clever.
弟なんで弟かよ。俺はまたてっきり天音ちゃんがろくでもねえ男と付き合ってるのかと思ってよ。おじさん早合点しちまった。
I'm not sure what's so funny, but the greengrocer cackles heartily as he stares into my face.
はい、ボス。名前は
Yuuji.
そうか、ユージか。いい名前じゃねえか。姉ちゃんの手伝いしてやれえな。よし、おめえにもイチゴやるから食え。
Oh no. ビ
タミンが足んねえからそんな人殺しみてえな面になんだ。栃木のブランドイチゴだぞ。食え食え。
He has a face like a murderer because he's toned, I'm guessing. Thank you. I smile and lower my head in a slight bow, prompting the old man to shout, "What? You can smile after all?" in an even louder voice.
じゃあおじさん、ありがとうね。
おう、また来な。サービスすっからよ。ユージもな。
Of course, thank you.
あんた、その顔やめな。
What face? What are you talking about?
そのひどい笑顔。まるで誰かに習ったみたいな顔だね。
It's probably exactly what it is. You're strangely perceptive at times.
あんたってさ、たまにそうやって顔で嘘つくよね。そういう家系なの？
Run in the family? What do you mean by that? Fake smiles are an expression of consideration for others. You want me to scowl instead?
だったらもう少し上手に笑いなさいよ。バレバレよ。
I was taught that children's smiles and women's tears are the weapons, but this is the first time my own emotional front was penetrated like this. I may have been underestimating this woman.
またそうやって怖い顔する。そんな顔するからマキナが怖がるんだよ。
I was born with this face.
へえ、じゃあ、あんたのお姉ちゃんもそんな顔だったわけ？
My sister was... Yeah, well, in her case, she always had this sleepy expression.
そうなんだ。
Why bring up my sister there?
まあ、なんとなく。
Why? Yeah, she seems really fixated on this sister angle. Maybe she's just curious, but it's just weird that she's brought it up so much. I would expect it would be occasional references, especially when we displayed how we don't like to talk about it. Or maybe she is missing a family member too, and so she's kind of trying, like, it's a resonance point for her. More importantly, are we finished with the shopping yet?
あとはお豆腐屋さんで絹ごしと白滝を買うだけ。
We're still not done? Just carrying rice, so I'd be promised when I agreed to the shopping expedition, but in the end, I end up following her around for a good 2 hours. Sounds like shopping.
買い物に付き合ってくれてありがとう。助かったわ。
As she speaks, Amane is packing away the ingredients she purchased, for some reason, into my refrigerator.
普段はマキナと一緒に行くんだけど、あの子と買い物に行くと、スーパーのお菓子売り場とかおもちゃ屋さんに寄り道したがるから時間かかるのよね。
Longer than 2 hours? It's not a problem, but mind if I ask you something? Why are you putting that stuff into my fridge in my room?
だから、この部屋の冷蔵庫が一番大きいんだってば。
That's not an answer to the question.
いいじゃない。どうせろくに使ってないんでしょ？ほら、いちごあげるからさ。
They're mine! That's from the pack the old man gave to the greengrocers gave to me.
私がいたからもらえたんじゃない。冷蔵庫の中の牛乳も飲んでいいからさ、ね。
It's not that particularly care about her using my fridge, but her barging in here every time she needs to get something would be a pain.
そうだ！今日のお礼に晩ご飯作ってあげようか。
Alright. Amane, you are complicated. I don't know what to think of you. Also, that was for the thumbnail, just in case you're wondering why I did that. I genuinely, though, she's an enigma. I've already cooked rice, and I've got canned food on the side dishes, so I'll pass.
おかず、缶詰なの？なんかわびしい感じ。それにお米って炊飯器もないのにどうやって炊いたの？
Don't tell me he's just eating it. Using that oven over there. That over there. I point toward the cylindrical mess kit style rice cooker made of aluminum, currently towering over the IH cooking heater in my kitchen.
飯盒で炊いたの？
IH heaters can't quite manage aluminum, so I've been using the gasoline stove I had with me instead.
サバイバルだな。よくそんな道具持ってたね。
It's only normal for a man to have a stove or two. Funnily enough, kind of yes. Not this extreme, obviously, but I do have a camp stove, and it's something I've usually made sure I at least owned ever since I was in Scouts. Because you never know when you're gonna need one. Like heck, like when we moved into this house, I knew I wanted to have an emergency heater. So we bought, like the first year we moved here, a little like propane heater. Not the greatest thing, because propane can be dangerous, but in an emergency situation, you have to be able to bunk up with heat somewhere. So you just find a small room, ideally elevated position like a bed, and you just bundle up together with your family, and you put the heater on and keep one room warm in the whole house, ideally as centralized to the house as possible. Normal for a man is probably overstatement, but it's standard equipment for a backpacker at least. Ideally, you want one that can use unleaded gasoline you can get from gas stations.
それじゃあさ、ご飯持って私の部屋来る？おかずが缶詰だけじゃ寂しいでしょ？どうせマキナの分も作るんだし、一緒に食べようよ。
That sounds like a good idea. No, I'll pass. What? Yuuji?
どうして？心配しなくても。
Makina would be there, wouldn't she?
ああ、そっか。マキナ、まだユージ君のこと怖がってるか。
Exactly. I think it'd be better if I wasn't there.
この際だから仲良くなってよ。
I mean, we gotta break that ice eventually. It's not going to happen that fast. And if I go out of my way to eat quietly, she'll end up feeling even more uncomfortable. I'll pass after all.
まあ、今日は仕方がないとしても、マキナと仲良くなってくれれば、いつだってご飯作ってあげるよ。
Yo, Yuuji, based on what we're hearing about your cooking skills, you probably should take her up on that. You telling me to become friends with her in exchange for food?
そうは言わないけどさ、仲良くしてほしいっていうのは本音。あの子、ああ見えて友達作るの下手だからさ、ユージ君の方から声をかけてあげてよ。
Okay. I don't have anything against her, and I don't want to be on a hostile terms, so I'll try to talk to her. But I'm not going to guarantee that it's going to improve things between us, since my personality is what it is. In response to my implied statement, Amane answers, "That's good enough," with a smile.
じゃあ、今日はありがとうね。
As soon as the words are out of her mouth, Amane briskly leaves the room, but... hey, wait, you forgot! The overnight bag packed with Amane's spare clothes is still lying in the center of the room. That woman, she isn't planning to change up my room again, is she? More to the point, I'm sure I locked this door when I left this morning. How did she even get in here? There aren't many signs of damage to the lock, and I can't imagine she's got a secret talent for lockpicking. Does she have a spare key or something? Probably. Suo Amane. The creatures known as large women are mostly careless, but weirdly attentive in certain details. They possess unusual intuition, as well as pointlessly large breasts. And on the whole, deserving to be handled with caution. I'll keep that in mind. Alright. I think that's a good place for us to stop. It feels like a really solid place to stop. Like, I wonder if we're going to have these kind of like more in-depth one-on-ones with each of the girls. Like, it would kind of make sense because we had just a brief introduction to them, got a general idea of who they are, and now maybe over the next course of the next few weeks, we're going to get a little bit more about each of them. That'd be cool. But yeah, we'll just have to chill here for now. That was a fun episode. Thank you for joining me today. That was a good one. Like, again, we had to break out the coconuts. I'm sure at some point we're going to have to break out the peach as well, but all in good time. My editing skills are terrible. Well, they've gotten better, but I think I'm going to stick with the very terrible PNG that I've used for ages. Oh man, I had to crack those things out for Sunrider first time, and ever since then, I've just used the same PNG because I can, and B, it's almost at this point a running joke for me. I just love it. I love how horrifically out of place they are, and it just kind of lets you know, when the coconuts are there, they're there. Nothing subtle at all. And plus, I think it's a lot funnier than rays of light or just blurred pixels. Plus, blurred pixels actually are problematic on YouTube nowadays. Like, they shouldn't be. But if they're not blurred enough, it can actually get flagged by YouTube. Coconuts so far seem to work great. So stick with the coconuts and peaches. So hope you enjoyed yourselves. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. And it's really interesting. Like, I hope you don't mind. I'm being so retro. Like, I don't know. I guess you don't mind. You're here because I'm so, like, contemplative during these games. It makes these episodes long and it makes the games take a while, sure. But I definitely think it's important for me to be able to just say what's on my mind, because that's kind of what we're here to do. We're here to share thoughts and stories. Like, play the game, please. Buy this game and play it yourself. Get through it quickly. Find the endings you love. Come back and talk to me about it. But if not that, just sit and enjoy with me. Of course, if you haven't played this before, and this is like literally how you're playing the game, don't do that. Support the developers. We want them to be able to make games like this more. We want them to translate games like these more. We want them to feel like there's a need for them to, and a desire. Like, and part of that is supporting the developers and publishers, specifically the developers. Publishers, you know, they're a go-between person. Still nice to support them because they help facilitate a lot of this, but still, like, those devs, a lot of them worked on these projects. They were passion projects. They were personal projects. These are projects I hope to be able to make on my own time sometime. And I hope that when I do, as long as I don't make it too stupid, that you'll think of supporting that one. And also supporting other smaller developers that are just trying to get their work out there. Part of why on Wednesdays after we finish Rewrite, I'm going to continue to maintain a presence of small, lesser-known titles from smaller developers. It's not always going to be tiny developers, but it's going to be angled towards the smaller, less noticed developments. Because, first of all, I found some of my favorite visual novels that way. And second of all, I always want to have a spot for people who are trying something new, or doing something a little different, who are doing something that's taking a risk that no publishing company would try. It's worth supporting them because we need more visions like that. And in a world of games that come out broken and stay broken, we need to remember that there's passionate people who want to make games who probably just don't have the funding because they're not part of the conglomeration yet. Anyway, thank you so much. Enough of my ranting. Especially thank you to the patrons. You are the ones helping support me directly and make it possible for me to make content like this and to continue to make content in the future. When we finish Tales of Grisaia, you guys are going to be able to choose what happens and what we cover next. So hopefully you'll looking forward to that. We'll be able to play more games like this. And yeah, I mean, like I said, like, I have nothing against, like, the ecchi content if it's part of a game that's actually narratively based. Like, that scene is a great example of the kind of content I love that would be considered H scenes, ecchi scenes, because it was kind of out of the blue, but it was about establishing Amane as a character. I don't think we're going to see that same type of interaction or even similar reactions with all the girls, because this seems like it's a trait of Amane. She's very unrestrained. She's very proud of herself and very, and like, she it's not flaunting it. It's more of that she's comfortable in her own skin, and she's even comfortable in her own skin around others. And for whatever reason, like, is there going to be a clear reason for it? Is it just part of her personality? That's stuff we get to explore, and it makes sense. It's part of her character development. And I think that's fine. That's wonderful. Like, it's not here to just be some kind of, like, experience. You know, I'm trying to avoid certain keywords that YouTube doesn't like. P and the Arn, like, that's kind of, like, it's not that. It's about part of the story and narrative. And some people disagree. I think it can be enhanceful to the story and very impactful and very memorable. And that's part of why it's important to have it there. So, wow, what a weird tangent to go on at the very end there. Thank you so much for everyone being here. And until the next video, watching me up and see me next. I'll see you there.